Hi guys! Today I am going to paint these Dickens carolers, my take on Dickens Christmas carolers. And I used all of these brushes. Usually I just use the number 3 grabby, but I used the whole set today. I just was like, let's go. There's a lot of detail, so I did use the white Posca paint for the snow and just some of the highlights on like the pages of the caroling books. And of course, you guys, look at my watercolors. Oh, I need a new set. I can't just refill the little tray. Look at all of my little like brush marks. We're gonna watch this all go down. This was a long one. Mercifully, we are sped up, so it's going to be, hang in there. It's going to be about 30 minutes of fun. So you guys know I love a lantern. So I started by putting the yellow light in the 3 parts of the lantern and let that dry. So then when I go with the black, it won't bleed into the yellow. And now I'm putting this hat on what will be the owl. And I'm doing my best, even though the hat in the reference photo isn't really shiny. I'm going to try to create a shine. And I'm also going to put a colored band instead of the black band. So I really used this reference photo as just for the shape of like what the hat would look like on a face pointed that way, which is how the owl is. So then I put the yellow light in the windows of all the buildings to let those dry, so that they would be, lit, like there's some light happening in there. So now we are painting our new friend, Walter. And I'm just putting his, everywhere that is his skin, colored down. And we'll rework him a few times, like not rework, but put more layers on. But let's get the base layers on of the owl. My husband said maybe, I think he was saying Atticus. But yeah, we're thinking a couple different names have come across and I'm just not sure what he's going to be yet. So this reference photo, I thought it was really interesting. I asked my husband, I just said, I want to paint my characters as Dickens carols, like all around singing from hymn books. And I said, but I don't have a reference photo. And if you guys have watched me paint before, like my brain needs a reference photo. I can create something different from the reference photo, but I need a reference photo or else it just all goes haywire. So I used this little reference photo for Antonio's hat, but that's not the reference photo I'm using for Antonio. So now I just popped in Jessica's little red dress and the red bow that's on the lantern. And popped back over to the owl. And I'm putting in his little beak. Now it's kind of I'm going to have to make them all singing. So I'm trying to make their mouths or beaks open. And that was a little tricky with the owl, but I think that I pulled it off. Excuse me, I was just yawning. So I decided to make the band of his hat green because his coat is going to be this rich dark green that kind of gives this color kind of to me as like a classic, maybe Dickens caroler outfit color. And it also looks like it might be warm and wool. So I loved that color, but I didn't want to put the same color green in the band of his hat because, I mean, that's too matchy. And I just don't feel like he would make that fashion choice. But, maybe. I don't know. So we just popped in his little wool coat so he could be warm. And you're going to see a couple times during the process of this. You've seen it in other paintings that you've watched me do where some progress just pops in. And in this case, the little houses, the buildings in the back, the base of them popped in. And why that happens is I don't just paint all in one sitting. I'll get up and have a bite to eat, or, drive my sister somewhere, or my daughter, or go to the store, and then come back and paint. And sometimes I forget to press record right away. So some of the things are missed, unfortunately. I did a pretty good job in this one, but some of the things were missed. So now I'm just doing the outline, and then I'm taking water. So you can paint, in the past, I've painted the metal portion of the lanterns all black, and then I use I use a clean wet brush to sort of pick up the pigment in spots. But what I did differently this time is I outlined, and then while it was still wet, I used water to sort of drag the pigment out into the middle. It's just a different way. I mean, they both turn out, I think, looking kind of cool. I also have to note that, before I forget, that while I was painting this specific painting, I kept finding that how do I explain this? The paint was not gliding or blending on this paper as well as it did on the last paper that I used. So it is important to make sure you are using a high quality paper. I don't think this is necessarily a low quality paper, but I just noted that it definitely feels like it's just not the same as the super high quality paper that I was using for my Thanksgiving painting. So now I'm just wispy painting in the feathers of Antonio. And I have to say, usually when I paint Antonio, the crow, I've painted him now at least 3 or 4 times, I can't remember. I was always doing lots of layers. Like I would go in and then pick it up with a dry brush, pick up the paint, and then add some more. I really painted him, his face and his beak and stuff, and then left it. Like I barely revisited his face, and that is definitely unusual. So now I'm giving Walter a little scarf, which I decided to change the color of later on after I painted his scarf. After I painted his coat, because I just didn't think the color of his scarf went with the coat. So now I'm dropping the sky in. This is one of those times where the progress jumped, boom. It's because I got up and then sat back down, and yeah. I do want to share how I did the sky in this one. Worked out so much better So in the past, I've tried to hurry up and cover the whole sky before any of it dries so that there's no like bleed lines, or I love it to be very like smooth, or just not look like there are like dry lines. You know what I mean? And so I did want to share that making this sky, what I did was I didn't wet the whole sky. I just painted, and then I took my brush and I swirled, which I haven't done before. So this is a new technique for me. Maybe you guys are like, yeah, obviously. But I wanted to make sort of a cloudy, moody sky. And so I did little circles, little swirls with my brush. And I thought it was a really good way because if some parts were drying, it didn't really matter. And it just worked out well. So now I'm just trying to, at this point of painting Jessica, I am always nervous because Jessica does look different. Like if you look at the reference photo, that is Jessica that I painted into the cornucopia for Thanksgiving. And she's an entirely different mouse. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I mean, look, the reference photo, she's gray, and Jessica is a brown mouse. So I don't know what I was thinking for the Thanksgiving one, but she's gray and she is actually a brown mouse. So this time she is brown again. But I did use my painting, my Thanksgiving painting of Jessica, just as a reference for like features and yeah, mostly just features and how to paint her little nose and her little lighter cheeks. So now we're going to give her a little Dickens Christmas Carol outfit. Oh my gosh, Jessica, you're so stylish. And I decided instead of like the puffy white brim of the coat, or like accents of the coat, I decided to make it green. I just wanted to do something a little different. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the Santa hats have the white brim, and I just wanted to do it a little differently this time and make it. And because red and green are accent colors, I just thought it would look really pretty, and it does. I love Jessica. I could paint Jessica 100,000 times and still just love her because I like painting mice. She's so cute. She's Jessica. So I was trying to put in a little bit of shadow there. So her hat is black, and it's important to note that even though her hat is a black hat, there's very little that is actually black on it, but it still looks like a black hat. I think it's important that when you're painting something black, you don't just put one flat dark shade of black, because then it won't have any depth, and it won't have any sort of realism, because if you look at something black, it has always reflections are all on it. So yeah, that's why I didn't make it just flat black, so that you could see the structure of the hat. And now I'm just making her dress a little plaid dress, and that might have been, a little ambitious for me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this going to turn out? And I kept changing the shape of her dress over and over, and the shape of the book. I was like, is the book in the right position? How am I going to make her hold it? It's like over here. And I had to work that out. So right now what I'm doing is I'm reshaping the book. I'm making it so that the spine is a little farther over. And you can do that with watercolor. Don't let people tell you you can't change it, because you absolutely can. So I changed it so that she would be able to hold the other side of the book and it wouldn't look weird. That was the goal anyway. And then I'm just putting a little color over the plaid. And now we're gonna paint Harold. And Harold, every time I paint Harold, he looks different, just like Jessica. He never turns out the same, and that's okay. I think the only one that turns out looking exactly like himself every time is Antonio. Antonio's like, that's Antonio. But the Jessica in this one looks very much like the original Jessica painting that I did. This one, I was like, how did I make this? How did I? I mean, I was looking at, if you look at the reference photo, that's my painting of the cornucopia for Thanksgiving. So I was trying to like, okay, make him look similar, Sara. And I was trying. And you'll see as I go, I keep changing him more and more and more. I remember painting the Thanksgiving one. I really liked using the purple like around his snout. And so I tried to do that again here, and it didn't work perfectly well. So instead of holding the sides of the book, I'm going to have Harold holding the bottom of the book, because I just thought, I feel like he would. And then I was like, oh, I just have to make up his jacket and how it would be. And I did have to change this multiple times because I was just like, I don't like the shape, I don't like the color, I don't like the ginormous holes in the sleeves, because he's gonna get cold. Obviously, he's gonna get cold. So just don't look. So I'm making his little wide leg pants, which I don't know if that's very, Dickens era of the pants, but he's a hedgehog, so there's a lot of fluff and spikes that gotta fit in his clothes. So he's got wide leg pants. And that's what happened. So don't look at his jacket right now, because I keep changing it. I change it like 4 times because I'm like, it doesn't look like why does he have these huge gaping open sleeves? Like that's not right. But then I was like, oh, okay, so look at the reference photo. I was like, what does a hedgehog look with his mouth open? Because they're singing carols. So I gave him the teeth, and then I was like, why does he look like Dracula? Why? Maybe I'll make the teeth a little bit shorter. And I thought that did help make him not look so wild. But I do end up changing that also. So now I'm just putting Antonio's body in. And you can see I am touching his face again a little bit, but not nearly as much as I had retouched Antonio's face in the past. So now I'm trying to add in that purple again because it dried and it was like, oh, I don't know, that's not dark enough. Also, one of Harold's eyes is higher than the other, and I do rework his eyes toward the end of the painting, but it didn't fix the problem, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna leave it, or I don't know. I mean, we all have like some things that are not symmetric about our face, right? So yeah, so we're just gonna go in and darken up the hat, and I'm gonna leave that stripe real like light gray so that it can sort of look like a shine. That's the goal anyway. So it looks like a shiny hat. Oh my goodness, they're coming together. So now, oh my gosh, I was just like I am not good at painting buildings, you guys. I was like, what am I doing? So I just started. I was like, just go, just cook, just do it. So I really can't pretend that this part is like a tutorial because, good golly, I was just out of my element. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm looking at the reference photo that was the background of the AI generated. So this reference photo, I think I mentioned it in the beginning. I needed a reference photo, and so I asked my husband, can you use AI to like create a reference photo just to give me something to go off of? And it put these cute little buildings in the background. So I'm doing my best to try to recreate that. You know, it's not going to be perfect. Buildings are not really my thing, and I could have left them out and just put like trees or something, but I just thought it would be super cute to put them in like a little town so that they were caroling for someone to hear, because, you know, if they were just caroling in the forest, you know the old saying, like, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make any sound? Like if nobody's there, kind of thing. So would these carolers just be out in the forest, not, paying attention, because no sound was coming out? I don't know. I'm tired. So here I go. Just looking at that reference photo and doing my best to be like, all right, I think this part is wood and this part is dark. And whenever I get in sort of the position where I'm out of my comfort zone, like I'm comfortable painting little anthropomorphic animals. Like that's my jam. That's what I like. And if you ask me to do other things, like paint an actual portrait of a person or something like that, then I'm like, ah! So what I fall back on, and this maybe is a good tutorial, if you will, what I fall back on is just looking at the reference photo and literally painting what I see. And that might sound obvious, but I literally sketched it out, and I'm just painting what I see and hoping that at the end of that process, it actually looks like a little town. So now, seeing the reference photo is really dark, but it actually was really dark. I'm trying to make this sort of cobblestone little road or walkway, and the reference photo has snow just sort of all around except in this one little area, and I thought that was such a cute thing. Like, thank you, AI, for making something cute. But so I'm going to try to do just that. So right now I'm dropping in the color that would be under the snow all around and moving back. And then I'm going to use the white Posca pen to, I've got to put a mountain back here because it was just like this big blank area, and I was like, it needs a mountain. So I just threw a mountain back there. What? My eyes, when I'm painting something that has a lot going on like this, my eyes dart around. So I could be painting something and then I'm like looking up like, oh, this is like a big open area. I don't like this. So that's what happened. So now what I'm doing is I see the Posca pen in my hand. I'm drawing the little pages. So the little white lines that will be the pages on the book and letting those dry. And then I'm dropping in snow on the ground. And I'm putting the shadow underneath the eave. my lighting is sort of reflecting off of that wet paint, so you can't really see it very well, but that's okay. So as I'm looking at this, I'm enjoying the way that the perspective is going, like the house is moving back. And that's something that you can do that really gives the idea of depth is as something moves away, not only does it get smaller toward its horizon line, but it gets less saturated, so more faint as it goes away. And that's what I tried to do with the houses. So now I'm just sort of darkening up and little things here and there. And this is where I'm looking at Harold's coat and I'm just like, why does he have these huge sleeve holes? So I'm like, maybe I'll darken him up. I'll darken the sleeve holes. Then I'm like, nope. So what I did to take that dark off is I just put water, scrubbed it a little, and then dabbed it with a paper towel. So now I'm like, okay, I can breathe because those stupid big armholes are gone. But if now I've got to reshape his sleeves, it's my fault for making him hold the book from the bottom. I mean, what was I thinking? So now I'm just using that Posca pen to just drop a bunch of snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Also, important to note that if you're going to do this specifically with a Posca pen that has like the same nib, like little tip, you want to make some of the snowflakes or the little like snowballs bigger than others instead of just dotting all over, because some of them will be further away and some of them will be closer. So if you want to add realistic snow, they won't all be the same size. Just a suggestion and a thought for if you're doing a Christmas watercolor of your own. So at this point is when I am just going through and really trying to look at all the details, like jump around and go, okay, I need to darken here because I've gotten to the point where everybody's painted. And see how big Harold's eyes are? I'm like, why? I'm like, I didn't like your sleeves. Now I think your eyes are gigantic. You guys, if you're painting and you're like, oh, why are, my character's eyes gigantic? You can rework it. Look at, I'm like completely changing the eyes. I probably should have lowered that one that was like too high, but it's okay. Yeah, I changed the eye. You can do it. It's okay. Don't believe what everybody says, that watercolor is unforgiving and that you can't really fix things, because you can. You absolutely can. So I was happier once I made his eyes smaller, even though now I keep looking at it and I'm like, one of his eyes is bigger. I'm not sure. I might do a little something to rework it. We'll see. But now I'm at least happy with his jacket, and I'm trying to put little shadows, even though it's nighttime and the street lamp is on and the sky is dark. I know it still seems very bright out, but it is supposed to be night, evening, night, what have you. They still have to have shadow, because in life they're still going to have shadow. So I didn't go crazy with the shadow, but I did put some little shadows underneath each of the characters, just so, just to give it some realism. And I darkened up the inside of Antonio's mouth. And now I was like, the background I just want something else to indicate that there's depth, like that it's far away. So I decided to put a couple little trees. And here it is. And I took the tape off, and I just am thrilled that I stuck with this, because there were a lot of times during this painting that I was ready to give up. So thanks for joining me. I'll give you a little zoom in on, oh, that's a little too close. I'll give you a little zoom in. Move around. There's the owl. There's the little coat. I love how the snow looks over his hat. And there's the little trees in the background. And I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. Let me know what animal needs to be the new friend. Thanks for joining me today.